all night. Whatever we do is so loud. Like the rest of the world is on a lookout. Yes.
Welcome back. The Nigerian child is faced with many challenges, a myriad of challenges on a daily basis. And there are reports that 42% of Nigeria's more than 138 million residents are children. That's 32% of Nigeria's population are children. 70% of them live below the poverty line, with Nigeria also having a very high infant mortality rate of about 93.93%.
Oh my God.
Per 1,000 births.
That's huge.
Huge. The children are also exposed to kidnapping, street hawking, lack of quality education, malnutrition, and a host of many other things. A host of many issues. A theme for this year: protect the child, the rights of the child in the face of violence and insecurity. End child marriage. In the face of all that the Nigerian child goes through, one wonders, how can that child grow up and be the best that he or she can be? How can that child grow up to release or to maximize his or her potentials? Well, we're going to be talking about the Nigerian child today, and to help us look at this, we have Damilola Akpotieri of the End Violence Against Children. He joins us from our studio in Abuja. Thank you, Damilola, for joining us.
Thank you so very much. But I am from Playback Nigeria. End Violence is a campaign that the government is doing.
Okay. Playback Nigeria.
Playback.
Cool. Okay,
Yes,
so let's
Playback Nigeria, and I March for Children. Those are the two organizations.
Okay, so you march for children. So let's play back a little bit. How did you get to this point where you decided to focus on the Nigerian child?
Well, my journey started as far back as 1997 at the age of 9. I schooled in Lagos, and at that age, I lost my father, so I got the realities of life. So I started doing a lot of things around, reading a lot of things around children and society. I remember my journey started by, I started getting my pocket money for the first time, and then I noticed some children in my community who were not having food to take to school and were being abused. So together with my elder brother, we started attending UNICEF activities, some of the CSO's activities in Lagos in our school uniform. And after that, we started a child rights club called General Action Against the Violation of Human and Children's Rights. It was during the military era, and then a lot of people were talking about human rights abuses, late Chief Gani Fawemi and Barrister Agbakoba, and a lot of them. So we got interested in a couple of child rights issues. After them, we became a member of the Nigerian Children's Parliament. I started my own organization using media and theater for social engagement around children's rights. I started my first TV program at the age of 9 with a program called Leaders of Tomorrow to talk about, educate children about their rights and responsibilities.
Okay, but since you started, as you said, 1997, let's look at this. Approximately about 6 out of every 10 Nigerian child experiences, under the age of 18, experiences some form of physical violence, emotional, sexual, and some form of abuse or the other. How can more attention be paid to this issue so that the Nigerian child can be protected?
I think the survey you just quoted is the Violence Against Children survey, which was conducted in 2014 by the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, by the federal government through the National Population Commission with the support of UNICEF and CDC, and was launched in 2015. And it says that 6 out of children experience a form of violence, and it also defined violence in 3 different arms: any form of physical violence, sexual violence, and emotional violence. It's so alarming that half of all children, that's 50% of all children experience a form of violence before the age of 18. So we're really at risk. We should set that perspective first. And then one of the reasons we should also look at, that's like a branch which we can see, but what's the root cause? Some of these root cause includes the fact that people are not aware that their rights are being violated, they're exposed to violence. It's also linked to the social and cultural acceptance. So when you see a child whose right is being violated, I'll use the word, which right is being violated, we see it as a normal thing, and people don't report. So one of the things the survey actually discovered was that a lot of people who experience violence do not report. Some who report do not know, some people don't know where to access help. Some who access help do not even get the help they require. And I think that's one of the major causes of this alarming result of violence against children in Nigeria. We see that the first, I have, it's 1 out of 6 girls and 1 out of 5 boys are exposed to emotional violence. 1 out of 4 girls and 1 out of 10 boys exposed to sexual violence, and it goes on like that. And a lot of them actually experience violence. 1 out of 10 children experience violence before the age of 5. So a child who is exposed to violence at the age of 5 sees nothing wrong. And I think we're at risk at this because children who end up getting exposed to violence would grow up to see it as a normal thing in the society, and also replicate the same order back to children. And we're quiet about it as a society. We don't talk about it. We don't talk about violence. We don't report violence. Some of us see it. Some of us even post it on social media. And I think it has to do with awareness. A lot of us are not aware that there are laws in place to protect children from harm. There are laws in place, like we have the Nigerian Child Rights Act of 2003, which was passed in 2003 and was domesticated in some states, Lagos, Ogun State, a couple of states, about over 23 states have passed the Child Rights Act into law. We have the Nigerian Constitution, we have the Children and Young People's Rights. Nigeria is signatory to the United Nations Convention of the Rights of the Child, 1989. All these laws are in place. Lagos State, for example, is one of the states to pass the Child Rights Act. Lagos State has also launched the Violence Against Children Survey, VAX, which was launched earlier this year in February this year. Lagos State also has a mandatory reporting policy. When you see